In January of 2019, a small crew were filming B-roll for a documentary in Utah when they captured something fairly amazing: daytime footage of a UFO coming through from the mountains. They didn't realize what they had at first and only discovered it later. We'll take a look at this video and use forensics to decide whether it was real or fake. A lot of people first looking at this video when it was released thought it was CGI, but didn't really have any solid evidence for their claim of it being CGI. So we'll look at that and see if we can find any evidence that it was CGI or if it was genuine footage. Here's a small clip of it. As always, the link for the original video is in the description. There's two videos in this case. There's the one that I'm going to show you a clip of is the original one that they released, and then they released a second version of it that's just the video itself without any commentary. Um, the first clip that you'll hear is you'll hear some of the videographer that captured it describing some of the events surrounding the filming of this particular video. And I'll show you the clip and I'll give you the links for both versions in the description.
Me and our drone operator, basically what we do is we go out and just find epic landscapes to use as B-roll in the film. And so we put up the drone, got some pretty great shots. We're probably like 400 or 500 feet away from the drone. Don't hear, don't see anything.
Okay, the software we're using for this is Forensically. The link for it is also in the description. It's free software. You don't have to download anything. It just works right in your web browser. So you can try and use this on your own and see if you discover photos or videos that you want to analyze yourself. The first thing we want to do, I have my first screenshot of the video that we looked at. We're looking for the digital signatures within the image, and those are in the video. By taking a screenshot, we're working with what's already there. First thing I want to do is take a look at my JPEG analysis down here. We see that's at 90, and that's the default setting for the error level analysis. So when I go to my ELA up here, you see it's already set at 90. But I am going to bump the error scale up a little bit here, just to make things a little bit easier for everyone to see. And as you do that, you can see there's a lot of signatures that stand out around the tops of the clouds here in the image. And other than that, you get a few of that, a little bit of that scattered here and there, but mostly these gray lines, which is fairly typical. You see that on a lot of images, and that's in a lot of the background here. The UFO is this small little dot right here in the image. This is when it's just first starting to appear out between these two mountains, and there's a valley in here that it's coming out of. And in the ELA, you keep an eye on that little spot that's right around here, and there's nothing that really stands out. There's nothing that's vastly different around that area. We're getting the same kind of patterns within the digital signatures that we get throughout most of the background. The only thing that really stands out in this image is the images of clouds, but it's pretty consistent with all the clouds and matches some of the rest of the signatures within the full image. The next shot I have of this is going to be a fairly similar story. If we look at this, this is as it's coming up closer to the drone camera. And looking at the ELA and that, it's pretty, like I said, pretty much a similar story. We've got a lot of this stuff around the clouds and some around everywhere. But if you keep an eye on the spot where our UFO is, that's similar to signatures as the rest of the image. We get this blue thing down here, and that matches most everything else, but it's actually a little bit below where our UFO is if you keep an eye on that spot. As we switch back and forth between the ELA and the original image, you can see that there's nothing. That blue square is a little bit below the UFO area in itself. Taking a look, I took quite a few screenshots of this. Wanted to be real thorough with it. This is our third one, and this is as it's starting to streak off. As the UFO was closer to the camera, this the it started to streak a little in it, and you see that here. This is the ELA of that, and it's the same story. We've got these cloud signatures, some of those other areas, but where the UFO is, we don't have anything that stands out. There's just a blank thing right there. It's just like the rest of the background. It's fairly consistent, and all of these shots that I have, all these stills that I have from this footage, there's nothing really that stands out as different or that's been manipulated using CGI or any other type of After Effects. But let's take a look at a couple more. This is a zoomed in vision version of it, and this is real tightly zoomed in of it as it's first approaching, coming out of that valley. And if we look at the ELA with that, that's just says it all. That we've got a little bit of blue, like we get from those clouds a lot, but all we're seeing is these gray lines, vertical and horizontal lines, which is consistent with all of our other images. There's nothing around that UFO. It's the exact same as the background. And just by comparison, in the clip I showed you, they circled the area so that it was, to point it out to people where it's coming from, to draw your attention. And if we look at a capture of that particular part of the video, we'll see in the ELA that just stands out like a sore thumb. That's been added to the footage later. That's been added with software. And you can see right away when I bring up the ELA with that, that's what you would expect to see had this been CGI. Something like this would be standing out along with the UFO. But all that we get is that for the ring around the UFO. But if you look inside the ring, there's nothing there. It matches the rest of the image. So we can say definitively what this drone camera caught. I don't know what is, but I can't say, we can't say what it was, but we can say that it was in the image. It was in the footage when this drone caught it. And like I said, the links for this are in the description. You can watch the full clip and listen to the entire interview of the person who filmed this and who found it. It's pretty exciting footage. It's not very often that you get a daytime video like this. And I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like and subscribe buttons. They'd help me out. And I hope you enjoy yourself.